Everybody knows that there are certain things that we all have to do in order to make sure that the world carries on in the same shape that it was, more or less. And one of those things that we know that we have to do here in Ireland is every single day we have to tell a story about Fionn McCool, or the whole country of Ireland will sink into the sea. This is what we know, or at least it's what we believe, and personally, I don't want to test the theory. I don't want to find out. So every single day, whenever I think of it, I make sure that I tell one of those stories. And on the days that I don't, I trust that someone else will. This is one of them. Fionn McCool was, by my reckoning, the second greatest warrior that Ireland ever had. Cuchulainn was the greatest, but he was 1,000 years before Fionn McCool's time, so I think we can safely say that Fionn McCool was the coolest man alive when he was alive. And he wasn't just some fighter who went around bashing skulls. He was a lover of life and a lover of beauty, as all of the Celtic warriors were, and him and all of his Fianna, well, they could spout poetry all day and all night. And they knew how to dance, and they knew how to fall on their knees and praise the beauty of life, and make a woman weep with sheer gratitude for the sweetness that was coming out of their mouths. Well, one day, they were out hunting, and they stopped to rest on a mountainside. And Fionn, he looked around at his fellow warriors, and he said, "Fianna, I have a question for you. 100 pieces of gold to the man who can tell me this. What is the sweetest sound that there is?" And he turned to Con. He said, "Con, tell me what is the sweetest sound that there is?" And Con the mighty, Con the huge, who was built like an oak tree, he said, "Fionn, that's an easy one. The sweetest sound that ever was. Well, that's a cask of ale being opened when you come home from battle soaked in your enemy's blood." And Fionn said, "That is a good sound. When we have walked out to defend Ireland's shores from those scurrilous interlopers, when we have beaten back their enemies with the strength of our shields, and we have stood together and let our blood and our sweat run into this soil of Erin, and we know that we have fed her and kept her safe for one more night, and we walk weary across the hillside arm in arm with our comrades, and then that beautiful sweet fizz, that pop of the barrel of ale being opened, and when that smell hits your nose, that is a good sound." And Fionn looked around and he said, "Men, what answers have you?" And another one of the Fianna spoke up and he said, "Fionn, the sweetest sound is a child laughing." And Fionn said, "Oh, that is a good sound. To hear a child laugh, it's like someone was scraping gold from the guts of the sky and letting it fall down over us. It's like someone is reminding you that inside this nasty old grizzled skin that you seem to be wearing, there's nothing but tenderness and a little pink thing that wants to be tickled. That is a good sound." And he looked around and he said, "Men, what other answers have you?" And another one of the Fianna spoke up. And he said, "Fionn, the sound of the rain is good." And Fionn said, "Yes. When I hear that rain hit the leaves, like a million fingertips drumming so softly, so sweetly calling me home, letting me know that my blood is only water and that my body is only soil, when I feel that rain wash these tired, grisly cheeks, and I know that that water that cleans me will bring my salts down into this soil and help me be a part of this motherland again. Or when I lie under some branches on some mountainside with a sweet maiden inside my cloak, and we feel the rain beat on those branches and we hear that sweet pitter-patter and we know that we're safe cocooned inside, that is a good sound." And then Fionn caught the eye of his friend Dermot, who was so beautiful that all he had to do was show his beauty spot to a woman and her heart would be lost to him forever. And he said, Dermot, what do you think is the sweetest sound? And Dermot said, Fionn, that's easy. The sigh that a woman makes when you give her everything that she wants and everything that she deserves. In that moment when the two of you become one. When you feel yourself come undone, like your breastbone itself can open up to her. And you know that the two of you are making some kind of a fragile heaven there in that delicate connection that you're sharing in that moment inside your cloaks as your sweat blends with hers and her eyes dilate so that you can dive in. When you hear that sigh, that is a beautiful thing. And Fionn said, yes, that is a good sound. And he looked around at his men. And they all gave many, many more answers that night. In fact, they kept on speaking of the most beautiful sounds all the way through until the dawn, and they forgot all about their hunt as they hunted for what was the most sublime creature that could enter through the ear on that ghost that we call the air. And at the end, Fionn said, lads, you've given fine answers. You've done proud. Aren't we lucky that we have such rich lives that we can speak of things like these? But I'm afraid I've got to keep the gold for myself. There's no two ways about it. Because there's only one best answer. And that is this. The most beautiful sound there is the sound of what is. And if we listen now, we might catch it.